Did you know that 80% of the clutter in your room comes from things you don't even use? And maybe you've heard this a million times. Just organize it and you'll be fine. But if you're constantly tidying up and your space still feels chaotic by the end of the day, this video is for you. Today I'm sharing 10 simple organizing habits that can completely shift how your room looks and how you feel inside it. No more waiting for a cleaning mood. No more all-day Sunday resets. Just small, realistic habits that make your space easier to manage every single day. By the end of this video, you'll know how to stop feeling like you're always behind on cleaning. Wake up to a room that feels light and peaceful. And finally, keep things tidy without working harder. And before we start, leave a quick comment below. What's one thing in your room you've been holding on to but never actually use? I'd love to hear, because those little decisions are often where the real clutter begins. Okay, let's start with something small, but seriously, this made a huge difference for me. You know those days when your room feels like too much, and you just don't even know where to start? I've had so many moments like that. And I used to do what most people do, try to organize everything all at once. But it never stuck. What helps me now is this. Before I even think about cleaning, I just sort. Here's how I do it and what I actually do with each one. Group 1 is the stuff I've used recently, like in the last week. These are your everyday essentials. I keep them within reach where it's easy to grab and put them back. Group 2 is the maybe pile. I haven't used it lately, but I feel like I might. For these, I give myself a little test. I put them in a separate box or bag out of sight and set a reminder for 1 month. If I still don't touch them, that's my answer. Group 3 is the forgotten stuff. And honestly, if I didn't even remember I had it, it's probably not that important to me. Most of the time, I let these go. Gently. No guilt. And Group 4 is broken or useless things. If it's not fixable this week, or if I've been meaning to deal with it for over a year, I thank it and toss it. That alone clears up so much space. So if you don't know where to begin, this is a really gentle way to start. No pressure. Just sort and see what's really there. And in case you're wondering what comes after sorting, like how to actually let go of what you don't need, or how to stop organizing things that don't deserve a place in your space, we'll be digging into that in the next video. It's all about what to keep, what to release, and how to finally feel done with the clutter you've been circling for months. But for now, let's move into the second habit. The second habit I want to share is this: declutter first before you organize anything. Let me explain, because I didn't understand this clearly at first either. Decluttering and organizing are two totally different things. Decluttering means deciding what no longer needs to be in your space. It's about letting go. Removing the things you don't use, don't love, or don't have a purpose anymore. Organizing, on the other hand, is about finding a place for the things you do want to keep. It's how you store them, arrange them, and make them easier to find or put away. The mistake I used to make, and I think a lot of us do, is that I would jump straight to organizing without decluttering first. I'd spend hours folding, stacking, and moving stuff into boxes, but I was still keeping way too many things I didn't even want. So my space would look nice for a day or two, but the mess would come right back. It wasn't sustainable. Now I do it the other way around. I go through things slowly and ask myself, do I still need this? Do I even use it? If the answer's no, I set it aside. Once that layer of clutter is gone, organizing what's left feels so much easier. And honestly, most of the time, I don't even need as much storage as I thought. So if organizing always feels like it doesn't work for you, maybe it's not that you're bad at organizing. Maybe it's just that you're organizing too much stuff. Try decluttering first, even just a little, and see how different it feels. The third habit is to keep things light, literally. This might sound small, but it's made a big difference in how I take care of my space. For a long time, I didn't realize how much the weight of things was affecting my motivation. Like I had these heavy ceramic plates I'd always put off washing because they were bulky and annoying to hold. Or I had a laundry basket that was so stiff and awkward I'd dread moving it around. It's little stuff, But when something feels like a hassle, we naturally avoid it, and that's how clutter builds up without us noticing. So I started being more intentional. I swapped in lighter dishes. I kept clothes that were easy to wash dry and put away. I moved out furniture that was too heavy to clean behind. It wasn't about minimalism or aesthetics. It was just about making everyday tasks feel easier. Now, when I choose what to keep, I ask myself, is this light enough for me to want to deal with it regularly? If it's a pain to move clean or store, chances are I'll avoid it, and avoiding turns into piles and mess. Keeping things light doesn't mean everything has to be tiny or flimsy. It just means choosing items that work with you, not against you. Things that feel effortless to use and maintain. So that's the third habit. Keep it light. Lighter things lead to lighter effort, and in a busy day, that small shift can mean the difference between keeping up and giving up. The fourth habit is to create storage using what you already have. I used to think I needed to buy new organizers, fancy shelves, or go to the store just to start getting my space under control. But the truth is, some of the best storage I've ever used came from things I already had lying around. One day I was feeling frustrated with how cluttered my bathroom counter looked. I didn't want to spend money or wait for the perfect tray. So I grabbed a small ceramic dish from the kitchen, and just like that, my everyday items had a home. It wasn't fancy, but it worked. Since then, I've started looking at my space differently. I'll reuse shoe boxes as drawer dividers. I've folded old cardboard into makeshift sections to separate chargers and cables. I once used a baking pan to store makeup. And you know what? It felt good. It felt resourceful, and it worked right away. I also started using the space under things like under the bed, under a bench, even under my coffee table. There's often more room than we think, it's just not obvious at first. I'll tuck away extra blankets, off-season clothes, or even backup toiletries down there, and suddenly my surfaces feel so much clearer. So if you're holding off on organizing because you think you need to buy something first, don't. Start with what's already in your home. Look at boxes, baskets, bags, lids, anything. Give your stuff a home using what's available. It doesn't have to be pretty. It just has to work for you. The fifth habit is to give everything a home. This one sounds simple, but when I started applying it, it completely changed how my space felt and how much energy I spent cleaning. Because the truth is, mess usually happens not when we take things out, but when we don't know where to put them back. I used to have these little piles of stuff around my room. A few pens here, receipts in random spots, hair ties, chargers, lip balm, all floating around without a real place to go. So I'd keep tidying the same areas over and over, but it never stayed clean. I wasn't messy, my things were just homeless. Now, before I bring anything new into the house, or when I'm decluttering, I ask, where does this live? If I don't have an answer, I find one, even if it's just a small box, a drawer, or a section in a basket. As long as I know this goes here, it becomes automatic to put it back. What really helped was starting with daily use items, the things I reach for without thinking: my keys, skincare, phone charger, favorite mug. I gave each of them a designated spot close to where I actually use them. That alone made my room feel calmer because I wasn't constantly redeciding where things should go. Giving everything a home doesn't mean labeling every bin or color-coding your closet. It just means removing the question of, where should I put this? When you answer that, once you don't have to keep answering it every day. The sixth habit is to use open storage whenever you can. I used to think that the key to a neat room was putting everything behind closed doors, drawers, boxes, lids, bins with covers. It made the space look clean on the surface, but you know what actually happened? I stopped putting things away. Because if something has too many steps, open the drawer, slide the bin out, lift the lid, I just wouldn't bother. And over time, that meant little things ended up on the floor, on chairs, on countertops, because putting them back felt like a chore. Then I started switching to open storage, especially for the stuff I use every day. A shallow basket for my daily skincare, an open bin for socks hooks, instead of drawers for bags and jackets. The easier it was to put something away, the more likely I was to actually do it. It also made it easier to see what I owned. When things are out in the open but still contained, I don't forget about them, and I'm less likely to keep buying duplicates of things I already have. At first, I worried that open storage would make things look messy. But here's what I found: if you've already decluttered, and you're only keeping what you really use, open storage can actually make your space feel more relaxed and functional, not cluttered. It's not about putting everything on display. It's about making storage so easy, so frictionless, that putting things back becomes second nature. The seventh habit is something I call the 30% rule for storage. It's a simple idea, but it really helped me stop that cycle of stuffing things into drawers until they barely close. The rule is, whenever you organize a drawer cabinet or any storage space, try to leave about 30% of it empty. I used to think that if I had space, I should use all of it. So I'd fill my shelves to the very edge, tuck things into every corner of a box, and cram that last shirt into the drawer. And for a little while it looked organized, but it didn't stay that way. Every time I added something new, even something small, the whole system fell apart. Now I leave breathing room. That extra 30% of space makes everything easier to see, easier to grab, and way easier to put away. It also gives me flexibility. When I buy something new or something shifts in my routine, I'm not forced to rearrange everything just to make it fit. I already left space for life to change a little. This habit helped me feel less overwhelmed, especially in places like the kitchen and bathroom, where stuff piles up fast. My drawers aren't jammed anymore, so they don't feel like a mini project every time I open them. So if your storage always feels full, even after decluttering, try this. Don't aim for just right. Aim for space to grow. Because when your storage isn't packed to the edge, your home feels calmer and you're not constantly fighting against it. The eighth habit is something I've slowly grown to love. It's called the 70% rule for surfaces. Basically, it means this: try to keep about 70% of any flat surface clear. Tables, countertops, nightstands, desks, leave most of it empty on purpose. I didn't always do this. In fact, I used to cover every flat space with stuff: trays, candles, framed pictures, random things I set down and never moved again. It wasn't messy exactly, but it made my room feel busy. And the worst part, once one or two items landed there, more would follow. A table with 3 things on it suddenly had 10, and then I'd feel too overwhelmed to even start cleaning it. Now I try to keep most surfaces open, not because I'm aiming for a Pinterest-perfect space, but because it just makes my day feel lighter. When I walk into the kitchen and the counters are mostly clear, I actually want to cook. When my desk isn't covered in papers, I feel more focused. When my nightstand only has a lamp, a book, and a glass of water, it feels calm, like it's not demanding anything from me. And it's not about minimalism, it's just about space to breathe. You don't have to clear everything at once. Start with one surface you use often. Clear it, and try keeping it 70% empty for a few days. You might be surprised how much lighter your home and your mind starts to feel. The ninth habit is simple but surprisingly powerful: 5-minute morning cleaning. This one didn't come from some productivity book or cleaning guide. It came from real life. I had one of those mornings where I woke up, looked around, and everything felt just a little chaotic. Not a total mess, but enough to make me want to crawl back into bed. So without overthinking it, I set a timer for 5 minutes and just picked up what I could. Put a few things back, wiped down the counter, folded a blanket. That's it. But the whole room felt different, and so did my mood. Since then, I've made it a daily thing. Not a big clean, not a to-do list item, just 5 quiet minutes to reset the space before the day gets moving. What I've noticed is that starting the morning with a room that feels tidy, even just a little, affects everything else. I'm less irritable. I lose fewer things. I don't walk into the kitchen and immediately feel like I'm already behind. It gives me a starting point that feels calm. And honestly, 5 minutes is doable even on the busiest days. Sometimes I just make the bed and clear off the table. Other times I go a little further if I feel like it. But the key is, it's short, light, and easy to stick with. So if cleaning always feels like a big task, try shrinking it. 5 minutes. First thing in the morning, that's all. You might be surprised how much more put together your whole day feels. The 10th habit is one of my favorites, and it's also how I end each day. Let everything go home at night. I used to think nighttime was just for crashing into bed and dealing with the mess tomorrow. But then the next morning would start in stress. I'd wake up, step over laundry, try to make coffee on a cluttered counter, and feel like I was already behind before the day had even begun. Now I take 10-15 minutes at night to quietly walk through the house and return things to their place. I don't deep clean. I don't reorganize. I just let things go home. Shoes back by the door, cups in the sink, phone charger by the bed, blanket folded on the couch. That's it. It's become a small, gentle ritual, not a chore. And I think that's why it works. It gives me a sense of closure to the day. Like I'm telling my space, you can rest now too. And in the morning, I get to wake up to a room that feels ready instead of one that's waiting for me to clean it. This habit is especially helpful if you have a busy household or kids. You can even make it a 5-minute family reset before bed. But even if it's just you, it makes a difference. Not because it makes the house perfect, but because it makes tomorrow easier before it even begins. So that's the final habit. Let everything return home at night. It's a small act, but it creates a calm that stays with you even after the lights are off. And that's it for today. 10 small habits, each one simple, realistic, and something you can start trying even if life feels a little full right now. You don't have to do them all at once. Just pick one that speaks to you and see how it feels in your space. Sometimes a small shift is all it takes to start seeing your home and your routines in a different way. And if you're wondering how to actually keep your room tidy day after day without needing a full reset all the time, that's exactly what we're going to talk about in the next video. I'll be sharing a few small daily tips that make it way easier to maintain a clean, peaceful space without spending hours on it. So if that sounds helpful, make sure to like this video, share it with someone who might need it, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.